Welcome to the Explainer. All right, today we're going to talk about the new Twiist automated insulin delivery system. This thing has been generating a ton of buzz in the diabetes community, and we're here to break down what's real, what's hype, and everything in between. This quote right here really says it all. This is from Lindsay Cohen, who's not only a diabetes educator, but also lives with type 1 herself, and it just perfectly captures that initial wave of excitement around Twiist. This feeling that you're finally using a piece of tech that feels like it's from the future. So what is the Twiist system really? What makes it different from all the pumps that have come before it? Let's get into it. At its core, Twiist is an automated insulin delivery system, or an aid system. You can think of it as this all-in-one setup that's supposed to take a huge chunk of the daily diabetes burden off your shoulders by creating what's called a closed loop, where the system is constantly making tiny little adjustments for you 24/7. Okay, so the system is really made up of three main parts that have to work together perfectly. First, you've got the pump itself, which has this kind of cool two-part design. Some people say it looks like an Oreo cookie. Then you've got the CGM, which is the Abbott Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, and that's what's feeding the system all the glucose data. And finally, you have the brains of the whole operation, the Twiist Loop app. Now, this is where things get really interesting. The app's origin story is a huge deal. Twiist is the very first system to take the legendary Loop algorithm, which was developed by the DIY diabetes community, by the way, and put it into an official, FDA-approved, commercially supported package. So you can get this incredibly powerful tool right from the App Store, no coding required.
All right, so that's the what. Now let's get into the why. Why all the hype? Let's look at the features that have people feeling like they've actually stepped into the future.
The pump hardware itself has some seriously cool features. First off, it holds 300 units of insulin, which is huge for a pump this small. It's also got this neat pressure-based delivery system that can spot blockages or occlusions way faster than other pumps. And a big plus for a lot of people, it's easier to get, since you can get it through your pharmacy. But honestly, the hardware is just part of the story. The real magic happens in the app. This is where you can see that DIY Loop DNA shining through. You can set your glucose targets way tighter than on other systems. You can tell the app if you're eating pizza that's going to absorb slowly or cereal that's going to hit fast. You can even change your carb count after you've already started eating. And yeah, you can bowl this right from your Apple Watch. It's pretty slick. And does all that fancy tech actually work? Well, the numbers seem to say yes. In an internal study, users hit a median time in range of 80%. That is really, really good. And get this, they spent only 0.2% of their time in a dangerous low.
Okay, so that's the dream. But, with any brand new tech, there's always the reality. Let's flip the coin and look at the real-world challenges that don't always make it into the brochure.
Let's start with a number, 32. What is that? Well, that's how many different steps one reviewer, a certified diabetes educator, counted just to change the insulin cassette. 32 steps. And even after practicing, it still took him over 9 minutes. Look, when you're dealing with this stuff every single day, that kind of complexity isn't just annoying, it's a major, major burden.
And that's not the only hardware headache. People are finding it pretty cumbersome. You're juggling a ton of little pieces, you're stuck with only one type of infusion set, and the adhesive on it is, well, not great. And oh my gosh, the alerts are so loud, and you can't even turn them down or switch them to vibrate.
But if you ask users, the biggest headaches seem to be coming from the CGM and the app. For one, you can't calibrate the Libre 3 Plus sensor. A lot of people are finding that it tends to read lower than their actual glucose, especially at night. And you can guess what that means, right? False low alarms waking you up, and the system holding back insulin when you might actually need it. And this isn't just an annoyance. These inaccuracies can be genuinely scary. Just listen to this one user's story. Her sensor said she was at 206, so she took insulin for her meal. But 20 minutes later, a finger stick showed her blood sugar was actually 50, with all that insulin just starting to kick in. That is terrifying. And it all stems from not being able to trust the number on the screen. Okay, here's another, more subtle problem, but it has a big psychological impact. It's the way the app shows you your data. The main graph on the home screen is scaled so tightly that any tiny, totally normal change in your blood sugar looks like a massive roller coaster ride. But then you take that exact same data and look at it on a different graph, like one from a Dexcom. Suddenly it looks way more stable, right? This is a huge deal because the Twiist graph could totally freak you out and make you think you need to correct something when, in reality, everything is fine. So, putting all this together, how does the Twiist system really stack up against the OG, the original do-it-yourself open source loop that it came from?
When you put them side by side, you see the central trade-off pretty clearly. With Twiist, you're buying convenience. It's pre-built, you get it from the App Store, and you have a 24/7 support line to call. But with the DIY loop, you're getting flexibility. You get to choose your pump, you get the absolute latest features, because remember, the Twiist app is actually based on an older version of the software.
All right, so we've seen the good, the bad, and the complicated. After weighing all these revolutionary features against the very real frustrations, what's the bottom line? What's the final verdict on Twiist right now?
It really comes down to this kind of paradox. You have this absolutely brilliant software, this truly next-generation algorithm that's kind of trapped. It's being held back by clunky hardware, that's its body, and a CGM that can be unreliable, those are its senses. But, and this is a big but, you have to look at what's coming next. The company already has plans for 2026 to integrate a totally different CGM, the implantable Eversense 365 sensor. And that could theoretically fix the single biggest complaint people have with the system today. So all of this, it all funnels down to one big question, right? The one that matters most if you're thinking about this for yourself.
And the answer really is a personal one. It comes down to a calculation. How much patience do you have for the flaws it has right now versus how excited are you for its potential down the road? Are you buying the product that exists today, or are you betting on the promise of what it could become tomorrow?